Well, hello everybody. It is Monday, and that means it's the Keane and Judah Show. I'm your host, Nathan Judah, delighted to be joined as ever by Mr. Liam Keane. Liam, it was a late night for us. We'll come on to that in a little bit. Late Sunday night. So the bags are still there. I haven't put the moisturising cream on just yet. But we're here, and we're going to be discussing a little bit with the weekend's action. Stinging the tail Saturday, but hopefully, some good news late on Sunday night. So let's talk about Bournemouth. Let's get it out of the way first. Bournemouth 1. Wolverhampton Wanderers 0. Kino, some shocks before the game, some disappointment during the game, and then, some explanations afterwards. Let's go into the big shock of the day when the teams came out with 1 hour and 15 minutes to go, 1:45 before the 3 o'clock kickoff, and that was André on the bench. Jean-Marc Bellegarde comes into central midfield. I think we were all shocked. And then, I'm not saying there's no surprises, but Bournemouth's opening goal was a Jean-Marc Bellegarde losing possession, and unfortunately, Bournemouth going 1-0 ahead. Could have been 2, could have been 3, really. Look, a disappointing game, disappointing result. Wolves probably played better with the 10 men, but overall, Kino, what did you make of the day?
Yeah, I mean, you get the team news, and you get it a little bit earlier than 1:45. We're preparing to put it out, and
Mm.
we're sat there looking at each other, thinking, "Surely this is wrong. There's got to be a mistake here that Andre, of all players, has been left out." And of course, he's scrambling for a bit of information to try and find out exactly why. And we, catch on fairly quickly that it seems like it's tactical, or tactical is giving too much credit to it, at least not an injury. But you also think, right, let's give an opportunity to speak to the manager first, and give
Mm.
them a fair opportunity to talk about it. And with Vitor, he is very open and honest for the most part. He's probably more open than a lot of other managers, but you never know exactly how he's going to react after the game, and particularly how he's going to answer a question like this. And he was very upfront and just was open and honest. Said
Mm.
Andre been good enough in training. I'm paraphrasing, of course, but not been good enough in training. Not been good enough in the last game against Man City. Bellegarde's in a better condition was the phrase he used, and I went with Bellegarde. And not only in hindsight, I mean, even before the game, we thought it's a massive call, it's a massive decision.
Mm.
We both felt the wrong decision, and I'm sure the Vitor would have been delighted seeing 4 minutes in Bellegarde give the ball away for Bournemouth's opening goal. Now, Agbadou does kill Bellegarde a little bit, really, with his pass into him, but at the same time, on the edge of your own box, with your, facing your own goal, with your back to Bournemouth players, you've got to anticipate and appreciate there's going to be some pressure. And Tyler Adams was pressing Wolves into oblivion in that first half. Comes in, snatches the ball very, very easy, way more aggressive, far stronger. And Bellegarde's not dealing with the situation the right way. I don't think Andre gives the ball away in that position. I really don't,
Mm.
even despite the pass. So it's a major, major call for the manager to make, and one that I think he got wrong on this occasion. He then, of course, brings Andre on at half time, and that probably says everything you need to know. So moving forward, Andre should be playing, of course. But at the same time, if he's going to send these kind of messages and hopefully get the most out of these kind of players and prove to them that their place isn't guaranteed, perhaps in the long run, it will be a good thing. But right now, looking at it from a short-term, short-sighted perspective, it feels like a big error.
Yeah, look, I mean, halfway through the season, or you've got some points on the board, Liam, and maybe there's been a little bit dip in training. You can understand it, but we're talking about one game into the season against Manchester City, and like you say, I didn't think he was that bad against Manchester City. To be honest, I think he was one of the better performers. So yeah, whether it's a message, look, it's only Vitor Pereira will know, but I think we both agree that Vitor Pereira's got a lot of things right since he came to the football club, and this was one of the things you've got to criticise him on. It didn't work out. Like I say, led to the mistake, which was the only goal of the game. It ended up as, and yeah, I think that was a bad mistake from Vitor. In terms of just the second half, Toti Gomes getting sent off will now miss the game against West Ham on Tuesday night. I mean, for me, it's an absolutely nailed on red card. I don't think anyone can have any complaints. They did play better with 10 men, and maybe that the way that they tucked in, the way that they showed that they can play, and that they were probably arguably the better side with 10 men, to be honest, just gives them a bit of food for thought going into what is that massive game now against Everton next Saturday. I mean, I'll be absolutely staggered, Liam, if we don't see Andre back in the starting lineup for that Everton game. Like, we can see, we'll talk about West Ham in a little bit, but in terms of getting your best players out against Everton, if he's not in that lineup again, then I'll be absolutely stunned.
I can't believe you're forgetting the massive, massive game tomorrow night. West Ham. That's
Well,
what
I'm
you
going to
bigger than
come on to
Everton,
that. I'm going to come on to
surely.
that.
No,
Okay,
no,
I
no.
can't
Forget
remember.
Everton. Massive game in the second
It
round of the Carabao
is.
Cup
It
that
is.
neither side could care less about
No.
going into that game.
Neither could we, to be honest. Could stay at home.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, in that second half, you are right. I think Wolves were better with 10 because they were better defensively, I think. I thought Santi Bueno did okay, really, when he came on, actually, on that left side, which is obviously not his natural side as well. So maybe a small bit of credit to him.
Mhm,
But the reasons for me why they were slightly better is that the two wing backs, well, the changes they made,
mhm,
of course, but the two wing backs were better.
mhm, mhm.
Tatchell was better going forward. Hugo Bueno
Yeah,
performed better than Wolf. That's for me. That's a
correct.
massive part of it.
Yeah.
Going forward, still, um, Lars was isolated. There was very few opportunities in that final third, apart from Hugo Bueno setting up Arias very early on before the red card in that second half. Yeah, creating chances is a major issue. Of course, it is.
Mhm,
Um, but going forward, those two centre halves, those two wing backs, rather, were far better, and I think
mhm,
that improved Wolves in that second half as well. But yeah, you're right. For me, the next two home games, aside from the West Ham game, Everton and then Leeds in middle of September, are two massive home games in the league that Wolves have got to get points from, and Andre has got to be playing. Simple as that.
Yeah, he does. Right, okay. Well, like I say, Tuesday night. It's tomorrow. It's West Ham United against Wolverhampton Wanderers. Not a great draw for either side, to be honest. At least Wolves are at home. The last thing you want to do is go to West Ham United away on a Tuesday night. But look, it's the start of the trip to Wembley, Keno. So let's start to get excited.
Can't
It's
wait, buzzing.
interesting.
Bring it on.
Oh God. Look, 19th in the table, and of course the Premier League comes first. Everybody wants a good run in the competition. Of course they do. Everybody does. And Wolves have flirted with having a decent season in one of the cup competitions the last couple of years, but it just fallen short. In terms of team selection, it's a difficult one because Wolves have yet to score a goal this season, Liam. So in terms of getting confidence and getting morale up, wins can do that, can't they? Whether it's in the cup, whether it's in the league. But at the same time, you've got to caveat that with a big game on Saturday. Do you want players to play Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday? Of course, the professional footballers, they can handle that. They're rested over the summer. I don't know whether you look at maybe I think previously, maybe someone like a Jorgen Strand Larsen who might need a goal and he might play him, but of course he came off with that Achilles injury. I don't think it's anything serious, but I would be shocked if we did see him on Tuesday night at least anyway. Probably rest it, of course, with that Saturday game coming on. So it's whether he goes with a few of the players he still wants to see, or like you say, get some minutes out of the players who have been performing poorly. I mean, the likes of I've written a few down here: Sam Johnston, like you say, Santiago Bueno, Yerson Mosquera, Rodrigo Gomez, Hwang Hee-chan, Sasha Kalajic. These are the kind of players who you think will be pushing for a spot, and probably a couple of others. The wing backs you've used four at the moment, so do we see Wolf, who came off disappointingly, maybe see him as a get 70 or 80 minutes under his belt in this game? On the right hand side, I do think that Rodrigo Gomez might get a chance. Kiana Hoover came off, so is it this mix and match team? Toti Gomes, of course, suspended, or do you go maybe a little bit stronger than what he wanted to do because of how poorly the first two games have gone?
Well, I asked him after the game, after Bournemouth, and he made it pretty clear he's going to have to make some changes because he wants to see some players play, of course, and some definitely need minutes. But at the same time, he's got one eye on the Everton game. That's the really fine balance he's got to try and find because Wolves want to perform and win, particularly at home, regardless of the competition. But at the same time, they don't want to be playing Larson, really, if we're being
Mm-hmm.
honest, regardless of the fact he would like a goal. You don't want to be playing all of these key players that uh, are going to be tired then going into an Everton game that is a pretty big one. And they obviously had a good
Correct.
win at the weekend themselves. So players like Sam Johnson, I would expect to play. Rodrigo Gomez, I would expect to play, particularly with Hoover potentially having a knock and Tatchua being safe for the weekend. Mosquera is a question mark whether he can
Mm-hmm.
get through 90 minutes or you start him with the idea of bringing him off potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Midfield, they've got very few options. So what do you do there? Going forward, Hwang will probably start. I'd imagine Fer Lopez will probably start, but again, you've got another decision on that other side as well, and
Yeah.
it doesn't become an easy decision for Vitor on exactly what to pick and what to choose. I suspect he'll make quite a few changes, to be brutally
Mm-hmm.
honest, against a West Ham side that need a result themselves, but are also really, really struggling and may go stronger themselves, considering they haven't got too many options either.
Like I said, late night for us because world exclusive Liam Keane. Christantis Uche looks like he could be a Wolves player, could be the next one through the door. I say next one through the door. There's centre back situations as well. But look, we are now 7 days to go, aren't we? A week today. deadline day, 7 p.m. So we know that things are going to start ramping up very quickly. We know that Wolves are short. Where are we with the Uche deal? And also in terms of what you've seen so far this season and recruitment, what else do they need before 7 o'clock next week?
Yeah, there's definitely work to do. So yeah, as we exclusively revealed late on Sunday night, with a video and a story, Wolves are closing in on Cristantos Uche at Getafe, 22-year-old Nigerian international. Been through as a bit of a midfielder, but has played a lot more in the last sort of year or so as a more of a left-sided 10 or a striker, been a bit further forward. So in theory, he fits into Wolves' system in the sense that they play narrow 10s or can be someone that can play central as well. Um, what he isn't, and that's what Wolves need really, is he isn't necessarily that quick, dynamic Pedro Neto replacement, which I think
Sure.
is something that Wolves definitely still need. But he is someone that would bring legs, someone that will bring physicality that can fit
Mhm.
into a Premier League team based on those kind of attributes. His goal and assist ratio is okay without being outstanding, but that's an area Wolves need to look at. It's something they're trying to get done. £70 million deal is being negotiated, and they've got a little bit of work to do with the personal terms as we reported last night. But a player that they hope to get over the line amid some competition from elsewhere. Leeds, Sunderland, a couple of European teams have all been linked with the same player. But it seems that Wolves are going to get their man if all goes well. And as you mentioned as well, Ladislav Krejci at Girona, that's still ongoing. They're still trying to get that one over the line. It then remains to be seen whether Uche is going to be that forward backup slash signing or whether they're going to bring another forward in. I don't think you can necessarily rule that out. Whether they will look at bringing another midfielder in because Uche
Mhm.
can play deeper. You've also got Krejci, who hasn't played midfield for a few years now, and having him as backup is maybe not necessarily ideal, but can play as a defensive midfielder as well. So it depends whether they believe they've got enough cover there. I think that's arguable, to be honest, but I think it's worth mentioning. But that's another area they need to potentially look at. So and without Goins as well, Sasha is one that can still go. Kwang's been linked with moves elsewhere, but maybe it's gone slightly cold at the moment. Fabio is still expecting to go, so there's going to be some movement ins and out over the next week. It's going to be a fascinating and very busy end to the transfer window for Wolves.
Yeah, it is. I just wonder, like you say, lack of Premier League experience, Liam, is what my concern really out of those players. Krejci and Uche both look decent players, and I'm sure will help the squad. Whether they will help with the first team, you think Krejci probably will come into the first team because of the fee and be a
Mm.
starter. We'll discuss more about that on the podcast this afternoon about where we see him fitting in. But in terms of further up the pitch, we know that number 6 needs to come in, whether it's Krejci as a backup or not. But you think when he's starting, you need to have a number 6 to come in and sit on the bench as backup for André and João Gomes. But further up front, there's not that player who you think can fill Mateus Cunha's or, like you say, Pedro Neto's boots. Someone who's going to come in, who's going to stretch defenses, who's going to score you 15 to 20 goals in a season, because that's what they're lacking at this moment in time. They've had an XG of not even one goal combined for the first 2 games. Wolves need dependable goal scorers who are tried and proven, and I'm not sure whether they've got that at this moment in time. For me, they still need one, and they need someone who scored goals in the Premier League or at least the top level of Europe consistently.
Yeah, I agree. I think experience and particularly Premier League proven experience is something that Wolves need, and it's currently not something that looks like it's going to come through the door. I would like to think that changes. It's a major area that needs addressing in this
Mhm.
squad. And I mentioned Neto purely because of the sort of fast, dynamic, pacey winger, the kind of
Yeah.
player that Wolves don't have. They've replaced Ait Nori with a player that isn't that as well.
Mhm.
Cunha is a slightly different player, but again, goal scoring quality, you're completely spot on. Wolves haven't replaced him with any of that. Arias remains to be seen exactly how he'll get on, and probably will take a bit of time based on his performance at Bournemouth. We'll need a little bit of time to get up to speed, and we've seen that with quite a few players that come from South America that they're
Mhm.
just not quite at it, but then have developed into very good players. Wolves, I don't think, have got the luxury of time at the moment to
Mhm.
allow players to settle in, and that's a big concern. Someone like a Fair Lopez who comes in for 19.5 million and hasn't
Mm.
started a game yet. I imagine he'll start tomorrow night against West Ham, but you probably need to start giving him an opportunity, which is a pretty remarkable thing considering he's fairly recently turned 21 years old, and Wolves are now potentially relying on that as the answer. So they have to find solutions in these next few days. As you say, a week to go. It's going to be a very, very busy week. But their Premier League survival at the moment probably hinges on this week. I don't think they're guaranteed to go down if it's a bad week, but a good week would go a long way to making sure they are going to be safe, because it is going to be a battle this season, unless things drastically change.
Busy week for the players, busy week for the recruitment staff, and a busy week for Liam Keane and Nathan Judah. This time next week, we'll have a Keane and Judah show, or maybe on the Tuesday, looking back on what could be a very eventful week. Watch this space because there's going to be plenty of action to come. We'll see you all again very soon.